Kitty is present and meowing. We'll see how this goes. I have written a little list of things that I want to talk about, so I make sure that I cover everything. I'm going to try and not make this video too long, so I'll probably be a whistle stop tour. You can ask me any questions in the comments and I'll get back to you. But why did I stop recording? So if you were a subscriber back when I was recording videos, you may have noticed that I was uploading a lot. So I was doing 3 videos a week. I was doing one sort of crochet video at the weekend. I was doing 2 Scentsy videos, or I was doing like a crochet tutorial, a Scentsy video and a vlog. So it was a lot of work. On top of that, I was running my own business as well. So Monday to Friday, I was running a business. I was also recording during those times, like in the evenings. And obviously in the UK, it's really hard because it gets dark in the winter. So winter time, recording times were few and far between because of the lighting. And I was then recording at the weekend as well. So all my weekends were taken up recording, and then I had to edit and publish the videos as well as doing all of the stuff for my business. And at that time, there was a transition period happening in my business as well. So I have always wanted to run my own business, be my own boss, make my own money, do it my way. I find it really interesting. I like doing all of the different elements of business. So it's not like I didn't want to do the social media, although that was hard and tough, and I'll talk about that another time. I didn't mind doing the bookkeeping. I didn't mind doing the marketing. I didn't mind doing sales was probably the thing that I didn't like doing the most. But I didn't mind the networking. I didn't mind most of the elements of being in business, doing all of those jobs, because I'm somebody, if I do the same thing over and over again all the time, I get bored. So it was interesting to me, and I love setting things up and organizing and creating. So it just really sort of lent itself to my way of being. So I started a business in 2020. It was completely the wrong business to be starting at the beginning of a pandemic, but hindsight's 2020. We had no idea what was coming. So it was a little bit of an issue. I lost my job in the June, July of that year. Not due to the pandemic, but that didn't help. So I was then full-time, full speed into my business. And I thought that because I was basically doing my business all day long, I didn't have any sort of break from it. I didn't really have that structure of, 5 o'clock, turn it off and be at home. I was struggling to do anything creative outside of my work, and I started to feel that burnout. And that's when I thought, maybe I could start a YouTube channel that would encourage me to do my creative stuff that I want to do and break that down. But I also saw it as potentially becoming another income source. So that's still in the business mindset, and that was still in my head. So I was then just piling more work onto myself. Although I was taking that time to do the crafting stuff and I was enjoying the crafting aspect of it, it was still more work. And I was a Scentsy consultant as well. So that was a third sort of income stream that I was looking at, and trying to keep on top of all of what was going on in there. It was just a lot. And basically I think in 2 years, I put out 300 videos or something. So in that short space of time, all of those videos, it was a lot. And then the business on top of that, Scentsy on top of that, family on top of that, I just got a bit burnt out, and that's the truth. And I just stopped. Something had to give, and it was my YouTube channel that gave. And that's because it's really hard on YouTube. I think it's very much you have to be in the right place at the right time to make it on YouTube. Otherwise, it is a really, really slow growth thing. So in the 2 years that I think it was about 2 years that I was solidly doing videos, I was really interested in my thumbnails and my titles and descriptions and tags and all that, and I was trying to do all of that as you should, for it to get in the right place in the algorithm and all of that jazz. And I just felt like I was swimming upstream, and it was so difficult. And then there were other people that, in my personal opinion, were making content that was just like, why is that even going viral? Why are people watching that? I can't believe that that person's getting paid X amount for putting out a video like that, when that's the subject. And it was just really disheartening. And then there are other creators that I absolutely love and I watch all the time, but when I hear their origin story, it was very much they were in the right place at the right time. So one of the channels that I watch is Josh Barber, Dad Challenge podcast, and he started his channel, which is all about trying to shame parents into stop exploiting their children. You know, you love him or you hate him. If you don't like the way he does it, Mum Uncharted is another one who champions children and trying to get parents to stop exploiting them on social media and the internet. So two very different personalities. But Josh started when the whole issue with Micah blew up. So if you don't know about that law, you can go and research it. I don't know that it would necessarily make its way to the crochet side of TikTok or YouTube. So yeah, go and read up on that if you want to find out more. But basically, she had adopted a boy, and she ended up rehoming him, and it was horrendous. And she'd basically used that child to build huge wealth on her YouTube channel. So that's when he started. So he started at a pivotal point where there was a huge change. Now, you don't know that that is going to be, like we didn't know COVID was going to be what COVID was. You don't know that that thing's going to be a big thing. So anybody who kind of started a channel at that time and had a real focus on this and then would continue with it would likely see good growth, good retention, and a good start of a channel. And you know, he now makes his full living off of there, though he does other things outside of it. He's got his finger in a number of pies because he never wants to sort of drop the ball on that. He makes a good income from YouTube now that he doesn't have to do any work outside of it. And that's what being in the right place at the right time has done for him. Another couple of channels that I watch, they all kind of came up at the same time, sort of about 6 years ago, 2019, the van life channels, and it all kind of blew up around then. So if you started your channel around then, you got a good sort of boost. And I think a lot of that happens, that you're just in the right place at the right time, and you jump on it at that point. And for me, that there wasn't a trend or anything that kind of came up. I just started because I wanted to, and it was slow going to sort of build up the followers. And when you don't see the reward for doing something, if you don't feel like you're being rewarded in any way, then it's really hard to keep that momentum going. So if my subscribers had been climbing steadily, then that would have given me the incentive to continue. If I was getting 10, 20 comments on every video, that momentum would have kept me going. So growing a community would have kept me going. Growing my subscribers would have kept me going. Getting people that were watching the video for longer periods, and that being more consistent, that people were watching more than a few minutes of the video, would have kept me going. And that wasn't happening. I have definitely got some loyal viewers out there that would watch all of the videos, that would make comments on them, but it wasn't growing quick enough for the amount of effort that I was putting in at the time. And it was just that thing that it just stopped. So I stopped that, and that was kind of why I stopped recording. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, what have I been doing in the last 2 years? So in the last 2 years, my business completely morphed into something else. I've been training people how to do a podcast. So I have a podcast called Mindset and Action. It's a business podcast to help you grow and streamline your business. This I actually started as part of my previous business, and it was really about giving business owners access to things that they would needed to know to run their businesses. So I would have guests on and talk to them, and I did that podcast for 5 years. I haven't recorded anything since July 25. I'll come on to that in a bit. But I recorded for 5 years. I started getting asked, how do you do that? So when my business as it wasn't, I sort of decided this isn't working, I need to change it. That's what I pivoted to. So that's what I started to do. But again, it's one of those things that I was doing everything right. All of the people who've been in business longer than me were saying I was doing everything right, yet I wasn't getting traction and I wasn't able to make a living from it. So I did take on a part-time job in 2024, and I started that. I've been doing that now for this whole time, but again, that's like picking up YouTube again. It's another thing on top of the business, on top of the Scentsy, on top of the family, and it's not my personality to be able to do that. I'm very much quiet introvert, need not a lot of things to be going on at once. So it meant that my business, everything that I was doing for my business started to slip a bit, but up until that point I was putting everything in and not getting the results. So again, if you're not getting the results, it doesn't encourage you to continue. And I see it everywhere when people are talking about building businesses. Consistency is key, consistency is key. But they're all making the money, and I'm like, but I am consistent, and I was consistent for years. This isn't me like giving up after a couple of months. This has been years that I have been doing this stuff consistently and not getting the results that everybody out there promises you when you do that. And I've had some great mentors again, but they have said, you're doing the right things, people need what you're selling and people want to know, yet there was just something that wasn't clicking. And maybe it's because I'm not the person to be doing that. I don't know. So last year was a really tough year in my business, actually. I started the year, I did an event in April to celebrate 5 years of my podcast. I was really excited to have reached 5 years. It was one of those things that is like really big in the podcast world to sort of reach that milestone, because so many give up before the end of the first year. Like, it's a huge percentage of people don't get past their first year. So to be at 5 years was a real big achievement, and I never really celebrated any of my achievements. So I thought, I'm going to do an in-person event, and I lost money on that event. I had about 30 or so people came. I'd rented out a theatre. It was only about a third full, although people spread out, so actually it looked half full. But it wasn't what I had anticipated it to be. The people who were there were absolutely fantastic. We all had an absolutely amazing time. It was so good, and I'm so glad that I did it. But because I'm only one person, the whole front of last year was me focusing on trying to sell tickets to this event and get people to come to the event. So I wasn't actually focused on selling my program, my course at all. So then after the event, there was nothing. There was no clients. I had a few one-off clients that were like doing certain things, wanted audits on their podcast and things like that. So I had a few things that were going on, but I didn't have any consistency of income. I didn't have any clients coming in and out. So I had to start thinking about, what was I doing? Did I want to be doing this? So that was April. May and June, well, June's my birthday month, May is my daughter's birthday month, so I had a few things going on family wise in those months, and I was trying to get my business back on here. I was like trying to get back into advertising, the course and doing my podcasts and getting guests booked in and all those sorts of things. I was getting myself back on an even keel and looking at really after my birthday being the right, okay, let's go full force, let's do some sort of launch or something. And unfortunately, my beautiful cat that you will have seen in many of my videos, because she was my shadow, was put to sleep in July. She was 19, just past 19, so she turned 19 in April. And I miss her so much. She was such a pain in my bum for the last few years of her life because of her health. But you miss it. You miss the meowing, you miss the cuddles, because she was my cuddly cat. She would come and have cuddles. She would greet my other half when he came home and literally want to be picked up, and she would purr in your ear, and she wanted to rub her face on yours, and I loved her so much, and it just, her arthritis got so bad, she was in a lot of pain, and I didn't want to see her go through that, and it was the most horrendous day I've ever lived through. So that happened in the middle of July. It took about a week in total from the day she got poorly to the day that we got her back. And I didn't work. So I had some work days in there, and I didn't work 2 of my days that week. Went to work on the Thursday. I worked from home, so it wasn't like I had to go into the office. The following week we worked, but then we decided that we were going to take 2 weeks off because my partner needed to take time off anyway. His holiday was running out and he got loads of holiday left. So he was going to take 2 weeks off, and I said, I'll take 2 weeks off because we needed time to kind of process this. She'd been in my life since she was a kitten. I got her in June 2006. She has been through so much with me. She was literally my rock. She was always there through the good and the bad, and I needed time. So we both took 2 weeks off work, and so that week that we were working, my sister went away for the weekend, and we went over to hers to look after the dog for the weekend. So on the Thursday night, we were over there, and we got a call from his mum to say that his dad had been taken into hospital. And I won't go into all of that because that's their family business, and I don't want to put that out on the internet. But he did pass away, and it was a very awkward family month because of 3 birthdays in August. So the 2 weeks that we had off, we were actually visiting his dad and arranging a funeral. And then we had to do 3 family birthdays, and then the funeral was at the end of August. So I had the worst summer I have ever experienced, and just too much. It was awful. And then we were back into work. So, you know, as soon as those 2 weeks were over, we were back to work, and we were working, and we didn't then take time off until Christmas. And it just felt, everything just felt heavy. I didn't pick up the microphone. I didn't want to be on the podcast. I didn't want to do it. It just felt pointless, and just, I did do anything that I didn't have to do basically for the rest of the year. So my business is basically non-existent. My podcast hasn't been updated since July, and that kind of leads us to now. My sister got married in December, so our year ended much better than the middle of it. It was really sort of what I was looking forward to it being the sort of turning point. So we had a wonderful wedding, and then we had Christmas, and that was again a tough one, obviously. for us to deal with it being the first without Twinkle and the first without his dad, and that was tough. But we're into a new year now, and I get married in October. So there's lots of good planning things to go. I'm really sort of focused on my health. I think I've talked about my health in previous videos, but I'll do a bit more of a talk about that because I am on a journey. And I think that's important to share as well, especially being a woman who is mid-40s, who didn't think that her 40s was going to affect her. So I will talk about that. And so with this channel, what I'm looking at doing, if you've listened this far, is I do want to come back and I do want to do more crochet on the channel. I'm not going to be doing my Scentsy on the channel. I am still a active consultant, and I will always have my link in the description box below, so you can go and order from my website. I'm umming and ahhing over how long I'm going to keep my website for, because if I don't get orders through it, then it's costing me money. I need to earn, I think it's something like I need to get £75 worth of orders every month to cover the cost of me running the website, and I don't get that. So I'm not sure how much longer I will do it for, but if you've got Scentsy questions, you can always put them in the comments. You can always order from my website, and I will leave that there. But I'm not going to be doing Scentsy videos because, well, if you want me to talk about my thoughts and feelings on multi-level marketing, I'll do that in another video for sure. But I am planning on doing some crochet, so it'll be a mix of vloggy style crochet and tutorials. And that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm going to be focusing on, and I will drop in, you know, lifestyle stuff on the way, things about me, my health, and things like that, because that's what I like to share. I like to sort of talk about things, and I like to listen to people talking about their journeys and things, so that you can get ideas and you can ask questions and you can crowdsource information. I think it's a great way of doing that. So I will talk about that kind of stuff, but it will be mainly focused on the crochet side of things. So I think there's a lot of crochet channels out there that are kind of faceless tutorial channels, and I don't want to be that. I want to sort of build more of a community with you guys, and for you to know more about me and for me to learn more about you. So that is it for today. I think that is more than enough. Goodness knows how long I've been speaking for. I'm surprised my camera's still on. But yeah, that is it for today. So if you are interested in finding out more about that, please ask any questions below if you've got questions on today's video. If you've got any questions or any requests for things in videos coming up, I hope to get back onto a routine of a schedule of doing one video a week. Whether that is going to happen directly after this video, or whether it's going to take me a little bit of time to get up to speed with it, I don't quite know what my next project is. So crochet, but also any sort of yarn craft, sewing. I really want to learn how to use my sewing machine because sewing is so much quicker. But I will probably do, my next video will probably be sharing with you all the sort of projects that I did last year for my crochet. So I'll walk you through some of those and tell you where you can find the patterns for them, and tell you what I did and how I did it. So that is it for today, guys. A bit of a mixed bag for you, but it's nice to be back. Send me a heart in the comments if you have been watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.